Hot take. Strawberry ice cream and strawberry flavored desserts in general are 3 times better than anything chocolate. Chocolate is high-key trash. I'll eat chocolate, but it's really not as good as the rest of the universe makes it sound. My name is Dr. Edwin Porras. I am the owner of Pro Athlete Physical Therapy and the only Spanish-speaking physical therapist in the Denver Metro with pro baseball experience. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Do you have pain after you throw, after you hit, after games in general? Today, I want to talk about fixing your pain, fixing your injury between the months of August and January, and why that's better than any off-season program that you could possibly even think about doing. It'll pay off. It's paid off for a ton of athletes that I've seen, and it's what you're going to want to do. Let me explain. Here's a stat that if parents are listening, you might be shocked by it. If you're an athlete, you're not shocked at all. 74% of young baseball players report at least having some pain. That's some pain. The crazy part is that a lot of them just play through it, and some of them, they can play pretty well, honestly. But at what cost? What are we spending when we continue to play through pain? How long can you continue to play through pain? That's a question that I have to answer all the time, and I don't have all the answers, but I can tell you this. Based on my experience, half of you are going to hear this and you're going to think, yeah, I know, I should definitely take care of this. I'm going to try to take care of it this offseason. Some of you might have even already tried with an insurance-based PT who didn't specialize in sports, but here you are still having issues with your injury. Another 30%, you're going to totally ignore this. You're going to ignore your arm pain. You're going to start building up in January again. You may or may not start to feel it again. And then there's a smaller percentage of you. There's like 20% of you who you're going to say, kind of mashed this year, or, you know, I did mash this year, or I shoved this year. I didn't really have any issues. Yeah, I felt the pain afterwards and it was pretty miserable the whole season, but I was still able to go out there and perform. Okay. If your decision is now to rest and hope that the injury is going to go away, I can tell you that's probably not going to be the case. But you're half right. You're half right. You're half right in the sense that if you rest, it's going to be the best way that you can at least allow the injury to heal and allow your body to do its thing, reduce the pain, reduce the alarm system that your brain is sending off from the injury itself, right? But there are still dozens of factors that you're not considering when it comes to fixing your injury. Let me give you some examples. See, these are some of the things that we look at here at Pro Athlete PT. And if you don't address these, you're probably going, I don't want to say probably, but you might re-injure. So if you have arm pain, here are some factors that you want to look at outside of just rest. Number 1, do you have enough shoulder mobility overhead? Number 2, do you have enough layback? Do you have too much mobility overhead? Do you have too much layback? Do you need strength? How strong are you relative to your body weight? How strong is your shoulder relative to your body weight, right? How strong are you in general and your shoulder together? What's that ratio? Did you just jump up 4 to 5 miles per hour this year? That's something to consider. Are you using all arm when you throw? What do your mechanics look like? Are you all arm? Are you inefficient? And let's say low back pain, right? I know a lot of hitters have low back pain. Some pitchers have low back pain. If you have low back pain, here are some factors that we look at when you come to see us, and some factors you need to consider outside of just rest. What does your hip mobility look like? What does your hip external mobility look like? Hip external rotation look like? Hip internal rotation? What does the front side look like? What does the back side look like? What is your total rotation? Do you have enough rotation? Do you have too much rotation? How much can you deadlift? How strong is your back, right? Are you all spine when you swing? These are just a few things, a handful of things we want to look at. And specifically with hitters, like, are you all gas and no brakes? Can you brake? Can you decelerate and not throw your whole spine into every single swing the entire time? Do you know how to manage your own workloads? Do you know how many swings you're taking a day? Do you know how many swings you're taking in a week? Do you know how many swings you're taking in a month? How long have you been swinging without a rest break? We know that leads to oblique injuries. That's not even necessarily a back injury, but it can lead to other issues, right? So those are just a few factors to consider that can lead to being re-injured, even if you take as much rest as you possibly can. And here's the reality. I know many of you, I know you. If you're listening to this, I know some of you are playing through pain. And I know that you can get through it. And a lot of you tell me all the time that it's just the adrenaline. But then afterwards, I mean, you're miserable. And you've admitted this. You've told me this. If you're an athlete, you can get through it. You can actually play really well. You can dominate. But every time after a game, you can hardly move your back, you can hardly move your arm. It takes 3, 4, 5 days for you to even feel like you can play again. I've heard the stories over and over again, like you're hiding in plain sight. And I don't want that for you. I want to emphasize this. Having pain after an outing or during an outing is not normal. It's a difference between something that's common and something that's normal. And we can fix something that's not normal. We can help you manage it. The last point I want to bring up that I don't even like to bring it up because it sounds like I'm being an alarmist or it sounds like I'm trying to scare you, in other words. And that's not my MO. That's not what I'm trying to do, but I am trying to communicate the reality, specifically with baseball injuries, is that the longer you go on playing through pain, the more likely you are to have an injury, either the same injury or something indirectly related that can end your season and potentially end in surgery. That's just reality. Let me give you some examples of what resting without rehabbing an injury properly is like. If you're a pitcher, let's say you have a few rough outings, but you want to skip your bullpen work. But coach is like, hey, you should probably come in, let's work on some things. You're like, you know what? No, I just need to clear the head, clear the mentals. Okay, that's fine. Sometimes after a few rough outings, I get it. You just need the time to yourself, time to think, time away from baseball, time away from the bump, just a few days, get your head right. I get it. But if you never watch your film, if you never go back to the mound, if you don't maintain your workload, if you don't continue to throw and at least keep your arm active, if you don't work on the stuff that coach is telling you to work on, you're going to have more rough outings. Nothing's going to change. Sometimes you don't need to change anything, and I get that. But if you don't sit down, take the time and actually analyze it and take a look at it, you're just going to end up in the same boat. So for hitters, let's say your mentals might feel good after you're swinging and mashing at sliders. So let's say in the spring, everybody knows by the middle of the season, don't throw a slider to this guy. Then the summer hits and you go like 1 for 12. And you've got another 3 tournaments left. What happened? Did something change? Do you need to change your stance? Do you need to just stay consistent, keep swinging at the ball? Do you need to make an adjustment? What needs to happen for something to improve? You can take the time and clear your head just like a pitcher. You can take your time and just say, listen, Kobe mentality, next one's going in. But that doesn't always work. It's not always the case. Sometimes there are adjustments to make. Sometimes there are things that you need to change in order to start swinging like you were before. But if all you do is take time, but you don't stop and think and make the adjustments that you need to make, then you're just going to end up in the same boat. And that's what I'm trying to say with injuries. You can take the time to rest. It's going to feel better. If you're in a slump or you're not throwing well, you have a few rough outings, you take the time, that's fine. But if you don't analyze yourself and do some self-scouting when there needs to be some self-scouting, you're only fixing half the problem. You're only fixing the mental game. Sometimes you do have to fix something physically, and that's what rehabbing an injury is like. You can take the rest, but if you don't fix what caused an injury in the first place, you might end up in the same boat. I think another real world example of rehabbing an injury is really basic. Think about it like there's a leak in the roof and it's leaking water. You can put a bucket underneath the leak and eventually the bucket will gather all the water. It won't get everywhere. But until you fix the hole, until you go up there and patch the roof, what's going to happen? The bucket's going to get full. You're going to have to do a bucket full of water, put the bucket back in. You're just going to end up in the same boat over and over again. Like we could go over and over and over with these examples, but the point that I'm trying to drive home is that resting an injury is great. Don't get me wrong. MLB recommends rest. But if you are in pain, your pain is likely going to come back and potentially get worse unless you fix the underlying cause, the root of this. And I think most of you know that naturally, but it's hard to stop. It's hard to not play games. And I get it. But August to January is the best time to fix your injuries. And a lot of guys did that with me last year. A lot of athletes did that. College guys, high school guys, a handful of pro guys, they came to us and they wanted to fix their injuries that they were dealing with during the season. And I can't tell you, honestly, how many parents and athletes, they were so glad that they did it. They were disappointed to hear they couldn't play fall ball or whatever the case may be, or they got shut down. But they expressed to us, I'm so glad we did it. Wouldn't you rather take the time now in August, September, October, November, December, than have to come to us because your arm is barking at you in March? The season just started and you're having issues already. Wouldn't you rather take the time now? Let me give you one more example, one more analogy here. When you rehab your injury with us, we've seen this phenomenon play out over and over again. It's like getting a lift in on a day you really don't want to. I've been there. Everybody's been there. You got to go to the gym. You got to get a lift in. You really don't want to. You're tired, whatever. You don't want to get there. But those are the days you feel the best. Those are the days where the lifts are the most rewarding, right? And that's what rehabbing your injury in general, it doesn't even have to be with us. Rehabbing your injury and fixing the problem before it becomes an issue down the road is super rewarding. Give it a try. Let me recap. Number 1, 74% of baseball players have some pain. Number 2, Having pain after a game or outing is not normal. Even if you're able to perform, even if you're able to play through it, having pain is not normal. Common, but not normal. Playing through your pain for a long time increases your risk for a huge injury and potential surgery down the road. And the last thing is, resting your injury is great, but you have to find the root cause. It's more likely to happen again. Where can you find a good physical therapist? Because that also matters. We'll get into that the next episode. We'll talk soon. Stop eating chocolate.